to read Isaiah chapter 63, God's Day of Vengeance and Redemption. Now, remember, a lot of this is going to be prophecy, and in particular, a lot of chapter 63 is going to be prophecy. So let's continue to read Isaiah chapter 53 or 63. I'm sorry, Isaiah chapter 63 is mostly about prophecy. So let's get started with Isaiah chapter 63, God's Day of Vengeance and Redemption. Who is this coming from Edom, from Bozrah, with his garments stained crimson? Who is this robed in splendor, striding forward in the greatness of his strength? It is I, speaking in righteousness, mighty to save. Why are your garments red, like those of one treading the winepress? I have trodden the winepress alone. From the nations, no one was with me. I trampled them in my anger and trod them down in my wrath. Their blood spattered my garments, and I stained all my clothing. For the day of vengeance was in my heart, and the year of my redemption has come. I looked, but there was no one to help. I was appalled that no one gave support. So my own arm worked salvation for me, and my own wrath sustained me. I trampled the nations in my anger. In my wrath, I made them drunk and poured their blood on the ground. Okay, so this first portion is a lot. It's multiple meanings again. So in one circumstance, it's talking about the nation of Israel. It's talking about how even though the people weren't worshiping him completely, there were still a few that were, and so because of that, because of the covenant, there would always be a remnant, and that he would take care of Israel. And so that what has happened. And what happened, they went into exile, then they came out, they were given money and goods and a command by the king of Babylon to rebuild Jerusalem, to rebuild the temple. And so they were able to do that. And then the Lord took care of Babylon. This is also referring to something else. I'm going to give you a hint. In some cases, in a lot of cases, a lot of preachers, a lot of people who are people who have religious studies and such, also believe that this is a portion that may be referring to something that will happen in the future that will be again mentioned in the New Testament. So I'm going to leave it at that, because there's two different areas where they think there's two particular different areas. So we'll get to that later on, particularly in the New Testament. So before we go on, though, what kind of thoughts or feelings come to your mind when we read over this? How does it make you feel, and what does it make you think?